When the Torah says God's right arm, does he have a right arm?
No.
He does?
No.
When it says God spoke, I mean, did he really speak?
No.
When it says God got angry, did he really get angry?
No.
When it says God is jealous if you serve other gods, is he really jealous? In other words, the whole Torah is a big lie. It's all Bubba Mises, you know what I mean? I actually spoke to this guy. He was a big Talmud Chacham. And I said, but wait a minute. So it's all lies. He says, yeah, but for a good reason. Because it's just trying to inspire you, so it makes up stories. I mean, come on. So what is really the case? When we say God's arm, God's leg, God's nose, God's eye,
We can understand it.
so the answer is given. It's just trying to help you understand. Understand what? He doesn't have an eye. What is it helping me understand? You're lying to me.
Well,
You say, God doesn't...
He's a different dimension, so
Right.
putting it in our dimension.
So how does that help? God doesn't have an eye. But just to help you understand, he has an eye. Now what do I understand?
But they all signify different things.
Aha. Okay. Now, the correct answer is, when we say God's arm, it's a metaphor. But what does that mean? It means like this. We are created in his image. The question is, the word yad in Torah refers to God's arm, and it refers to my arm. I have to put tefillin on my yad. And God spread out his yad and split the sea. Why do we use the same word for both? The answer is, our yad is a cheap imitation of his. But at least it gives us a little concept of what his arm is about. So who really has an arm? He does. Who really speaks? He does. Who really gets angry? He does. We are created in his image, so we mimic him. God says, let there be, and there is. And we say and say and say, and nothing happens. God raises his arm, and the sea splits. You raise your arm, nothing. So I want to give this example. To kids even. They were able to understand it. You have an arm, and your doll has an arm. Is the doll's arm really an arm? They'll say no. Why no? Can't make an arm out of plastic. Right. And you can make an arm out of bone and flesh? Come on. That's an arm. It's bone and flesh. So who really has an arm? God. Why do we call our arm by the same name? It's a metaphor that helps you understand a little bit what his arm is like. So, God's speech is real and perfect. Our speech is a cheap copy, and it's not perfect. God's need, like everything else about him, is perfect. Ours is not. So to say God doesn't have needs, he's not human. Of course he's not human. That's why everything he has that we also have, his is the real one. Ours is the cheap copy. So let me give an example. What does a human being need? Food. You see, that is such a pathetic need. Does a human being really need food? That's so sad. Animals need food. Vegetables need food. Plants need food.
He needs us to have food.
Aha! He put that on us. I don't want to have to eat. Especially when I'm doing something interesting. So a surgeon, in the middle of an operation, he's saving a life. He's got to stop. Why? got to eat. That's such a handicap. So human needs are not even real needs, they're just handicaps. So when we say God has a need, of course we don't mean handicap. So what would be a genuine human need, not a handicap? The need for purpose to our existence. That's the only need that is unique to human beings and doesn't handicap us. On the contrary, it makes us noble. So when we say God needs a mitzvah, it doesn't mean he's got a handicap. People say, and if I don't do the mitzvah, is he going to die? No, he's not going to die. It's not a handicap. God needs a mitzvah because that's what God is like. What's unique about God? That he needs mitzvahs. What's unique about a human being? That we need a purpose. What's unique about an animal? I don't know, whatever. So, to say God has no needs is not a sign of perfection. There's one thing God needs. He needs to be God. Can't get away from that. And what is God? God means Hashem Echad. God is all about inclusiveness, that everything should be included in oneness. That's why he created the world, that's what he's after, and that's why Bayom Hahu Yihiyeh Hashem Echad Ushmo Echad. When the plan is completed, everything will be one. So, does he need to be God? Of course he needs to be God. Now, when you say God created the world for a purpose, you certainly are not going to accept that God created the world for no reason. That's not acceptable. God created the world with a purpose. So, if he created the world with a purpose, does he need that purpose fulfilled, or he doesn't care? Of course he needs.
That's part of his perfectness.
Yes. Right. You can't say, he has a purpose, but if it doesn't happen, that's fine too. I mean, come on. Even a human being is not that frivolous, or shouldn't be. Also, people say, don't call it a need. Say he wants it. He wants a mitzvah. Don't say he needs it. Is there really a difference? You think God wants things he doesn't need, or needs things and doesn't want them? That's embarrassing even for a human being.